Are you wondering what the heck an asset is, or asset classes? How can there be assets and liabilities and asset classes and not liability classes? It can all get super confusing. In this video, I'm going to break down to you what the asset classes are, what they mean, and how they would impact your life. My name is Val Njoroge. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Africa's Pocket. We are your one-stop shop to learn about, plan for, and act on your finances. So in this video, I'll break down the 5 different asset classes that exist in the world of finance. And then I will break down what investments you find in each of those asset classes. We have a whole section in Investable that really takes you deep into these, way deeper than I can go into in this video. But I'll do my best to give you an overview so that you know what's out there and you're able to at least start your investing journey before joining us in Investable. So let's get right into it. The first asset class, or maybe let me start a little bit behind. When it comes to traditional finance, there are actually 3 major asset classes. And then there are 2 others that kind of came along the way later on. So there are definitely different schools of thoughts on what's an asset class and what's not an asset class. So if you go and Google and you find something a little bit different, that's totally fine. It's really up to the financial professional and how they view different asset classes. So an asset class is really a group of investment opportunities that behave the same way. So they have the same characteristics, or they're regulated the same way. So going back to that traditional finance that I told you about, the 3 major asset classes that exist are cash and cash-like assets. So this is actual cash that you have in your pocket, or currency, a different currency, gold, which is supposed to be very, very close to cash, and instruments like money market funds, which basically just compensate you for inflation. So cash and cash-like assets. Then second, we have fixed income. So fixed income means that you know the amount of income you will make from these investments. That's why it's fixed income. And typically these mature at a certain date. So mature means that the person has to pay you back the money that you lent them at a certain date. And between the day that you lend them the money and the day that they give it back to you, usually these instruments earn interest, and that interest is paid out every so often. And then the third asset class in traditional finance is equities. And equities are really just ownership in a company. So shares, stocks, etc. And here the idea is that there's no fixed, future value. It could go up, it could go down, and you share in both the risks and the profits. So those are the 3 asset classes that come from a traditional finance perspective. And in modern finance, 2 more are added. So in less traditional finance, you'll see people putting in real estate as well as alternative investments as part of the total investment class sort of breakdown. So real estate, we all know, we love it. It's the idea of taking land and adding value onto the land to build a building. So real estate is interesting in that there's sort of 2 assets in one. There's the land and the building, and there's a factor of appreciation. So the building and the land increases in value periodically and also produces cash flow. So you're able to charge rent or lease the land to be able to make money off of it. And then there's alternative investments, which to me is where everything else that sort of doesn't neatly fit into these others tends to go into. So alternative investments include cryptocurrency, private equity, hedge funds, managed futures, all these sort of more sexy investments, which, we say sexy, but it just means complicated more often than not. Sometimes it's not complicated. And so that brings us to 5 asset classes. So we talked about cash and cash-like assets, which I talked about gold, money market funds, and actual cash. Then we have fixed income, which is any sort of debt instrument. So this is where you have your T-bills, T-bonds, commercial papers, and commercial bonds. Corporate bonds, sorry. And then you have equities. So this is where you have stocks and shares. You have electronic traded funds here, index funds, anything that involves you owning a piece of a company really should go in here, especially a public listed company. And then you have real estate. So here you have, land ownership, development of real estate, buying a house to sell it, buying commercial property to rent it out. There's all sorts of different subsectors within real estate. And then finally, alternative investments, which includes managed futures, hedge funds, private equity, venture capital, etc. And so those are the different asset classes that you have. And this is sort of the world that you have to choose from when you're making an investment plan. And Investable will take you through all of these investments. So we'll start with the asset classes. We'll break them down, each of them, so that you understand what is the difference between a treasury bill and a treasury bond. What is the difference between a commercial paper and a corporate bond? Why does it matter? And then we will go a step further and help you figure out which asset classes, asset groups, and which assets specifically, which investment opportunities will help you achieve your goals, and so which ones should you invest in. And then we will go another step further and help you figure out how to get into these investment opportunities. So how do you actually invest in a T-bill? How do you actually invest in private equity? How do you actually invest in gold? And so if this sounds like something that's up your alley, make sure that you check out Investable, where we'll be going through all this and sort of taking you through all of these opportunities so that you can invest with confidence. If you're already investing, please tell me in the comments below what you're investing in or what you'd like to get your hands on in the near future. And with that, I'll be sending you very, very good vibes from my pocket to yours.